say, hey, Collins, tell your wife. And the wife is right there. They call and they greet him first before they greet me. Some don't even greet me. Some don't even regard that I am on the show with him. Yeah. So it dealt with me when we started initially, dealt with me mentally, dealt with me emotionally, because it felt like I am there, but still not there. Because, it took a while for people to recognize my presence, because at the end of the day, you are his wife. You are supposed to calm down when he's talking. You're supposed to be quiet when he's talking. And, this is my job. I was a broadcaster before I got married to him. Yeah. And so it is my job first. And that's what people took a while to embrace. It's still something I'm dealing with. And I think that people would gradually get used to it. There are no days that we don't have times where we quarrel, times where he's on a different cloud, I'm on a different cloud, and we have to come on the radio and talk and make Lagos happy.
And do it. Kick a show.
And make Lagos happy. So it's actually challenging where you have to not let the world know that you're dealing with something and come on the air and be beautiful and be excited. We sometimes forget that we're having any issue, or there's a quarrel, or there's a misunderstanding, or there's one problem to deal with right on the show. Yeah. And after the show, we're out, we're giving ourselves, that was a great show.
I don't realize, but we're fighting. People tend to just make what they make out of the situation. So whatever you present is what you get. So before you know it, your individual brand starts sinking in the joint brand.
Sharing an office space requires this couple having as little time away from each other as possible, as nerves may become frayed.
We have to create the fun.
Exactly what I was going to say.
And make it a fun filled. That's what we do.
That's what I hear. We create our fun.
Go somewhere
when we're
alone.
Tensed,
right,
with everything happening. We call it decluttering. We probably go to the beach side, nobody with us, just the both of us, no phones, nothing. Yeah. And we are sitting, discussing what is going on in our lives as individuals and also as a couple. We just declutter. What I have been having in my mind that is building up to a resentment, I tell it to him. He also tells me we find a way to trash it out.
And it's a no judgment zone.
Yeah, we try not to judge each other. We just say the way it is.
A number of private organizations don't allow their staff get romantically linked. Collins shares his view about this.
It's a world that is changing from what it used to be, making laws just because you want to make laws, but doing it for the best interest, in the best interest of those involved. So it's a question of, the interest of those involved. I don't think it changes anything. If anything, couples working together has proven, at least in our own case, that it promotes bonding. It also promotes, in fact, I've been a better broadcaster, from the moment she joined me on radio, and even the listener could notice that. I've been a better person, individual, even at work, behaving myself, not doing anything. Because my family is here. I can't go around messing around. Even if I'm that crazy guy, I have to, So the benefits are countless. So if I don't know what the fears are, but I think I want to talk to organizations who have such policies. I think they should review it and give people the chance. I mean, there's nothing wrong for people to be in love and work together.
That's right. I agree with him.
The couple have advice for couples willing to work and build business together.
Once you can create a great atmosphere when you're together, when no one is looking at you, when there's no camera like this one, I'm sure you can replicate that easily when there's a camera. So, but if you do not have that great life and then you want to fake it in front of people and come in and say, oh, everything is fine, hey, it's a matter of time. The toxicity that's involved in it would show, and then it would affect the work. So it all depends on the couple.
There would be challenges. There are things that you would experience that will make you feel like, no, I can't go on anymore. That's just the way marriage is. There are tough times that will make you feel like, yo, I cannot continue this. It's going to happen even with the business. But if you take it the way you take your marriage and say, regardless of this turbulence, regardless of the challenges, it has to work. We have to get it done. When you have that mentality, trust me, it might just come out beautiful.
From the office of the techers,
So, yeah.
we head to the home of another interesting couple that has been into automobile mechanics for many years. Wale and Taya Oshikoya have been married for 10 years and working together in repairing vehicles. This home doubles as one of their workshops in Lagos. Marrying Wale was a dream come true for Tayo.
This work started through my husband. Even when we were during courtship, he has been on the field. I was not on the field, but I love the job. So after we get married, I have to join him so that we can work in together because it's what I've been willing to do for long. And I just love that job. I just love it because when I was small, it's my dad's field. So I used to assist my dad when I was in primary, secondary school. So to God be the glory, after my school and everything, getting married, God now gave me someone that I love and the field I love most.
Meet my wife, we married together, and I have to tell my wife that this is the kind of work that I'm doing. And I somebody that I love so much, and she loved the work. So when I say, well, I have to tell him to go and quit where he's working before. There's one company that she's working and is managing the company, and she agreed with me. She surrendered. She said, okay. She quit from there, and we joined the work together. And thank God for now.
The home of Oshikoya's is well managed according to a lady mechanic, as Tayo is called.
My work did not disturb my home at all. Even we stay behind, maybe we close very late. My husband will tell me very early that you go home, children are home, they are off from school, go home. Then I'll come home, my husband will be doing the job. By the second day, early in the morning, we will go to balance up the job.
You say, Wale, I say, ma, I say, this business, you have to go more forward now. I said, like how? Now you introduced me to one fashionable school in Ikorodu, automobile school, technology. So we went together. We take me to the school. I said, oh boy, okay. So I see some my junior brother that's even my age, my children age mates. I say, you see those ones that will sit down together in the class. I say, okay, no problem now. And I encourage myself because I know what I'm looking for. I know what I'm going. I know where I'm coming from. I know where I'm going. So God give me I'll give God the glory. We'll sit down together, we'll write the exam, and then take me. So and I'll go there. He give me back school. He give me my shoe. Give me my everything, uniform. I take it. I go to the school. I saw some of my age mates, of my class, of my children mates. We sit down together. I say, Papa, I say, how are you? I'm your Papa. Yes.
Personal and marital issues are not allowed to link into the workspace.
We both have our ups and downs, but it doesn't affect our business.
Exactly.
Our ups and downs is inside our room. Once we are in the same bed together, our ups and downs is off. It did not affect our work. Customer cannot even see it in my face. Rather than for me to now say that, no, it's someone I love. Why will I disturb his business or why will I disturb my business? If that thing shows in my work, that means our career is nothing.
Normally, as a woman being, as a flesh, we are flesh. Sometimes we fight. We quarrel each other. I told you that, go and do this work. We say, well, I'm tired. I'm tired. Which kind tired? My friend, you have to do it too. You also, I'm your boss. Say, okay. You know that I'm tired. I'm a woman now. I say, you have to do it because you love the job. We say, okay. And you do it. Sometimes, like last week now, I said him to go and do work in Ibadan. He say, only me. I say, yes, now. You go and face the work and you defend the work. And you go. Sometimes we'll quarrel, you fight, but you will say, I will hug him back because I know that he's woman. Says some things that I'll say, okay, come outside. Let me come and lose it for you. So we'll have to settle it back.
Wale and Tayo have had to endure side talks from people who think their line of profession is strange.
There's one man I used to work with him. He just called me and said, Wale, I said, sir. He said, why your wife used to follow you up and down? I said, sir, my wife is my colleagues. My wife is my partner for this business. If I want to take a boat now, Oh, I want to do something. I want to buy this. I want to lose this. I will tell him, yeah, go and do this. Go and do this. So I've faced so many challenges on this work with my wife. But so far, my wife, somebody like he make courage on the work, and she determined on him. There's no how people can discourage him. Even you face so many challenges on mommy's side, on family side issue. They say, why you follow your husband? Why do you tell your husband to open a supermarket for you and do business and selling and do this? You say, Mom, that's your own time. This is my own time. This person, I love it and I love the job. So all the worry people saying is raw. Sometimes they call me and say, Wally, why you don't get money to give your wife? I say, Mommy, it's not that I don't have money to give my wife, but my wife loves this job. So what? Say, okay, after some things, or after so many years, they leave us.
If you are a dirty person from your home, you will surely be a dirty person. But if I'm going out now, wash my body, clean my hands, you won't believe that this person is a mechanic. I fix fingers as well. I do makeups if I'm going out. You won't even believe that I am a mechanic. That is why at times if we go to customers' house, before putting on my overall, they will say, you come with your wife. If they not say that, no, she's a mechanic, they will say, the women, they love to see me doing the job. They will say, Oga, go and sit down first. Let me see her, the way she's performing the whole things. Even if after everything, if the woman will not say, wow, woman does this one. If my workmanship is 2,000 naira, we say, oh, my dear, let me give her 5,000 naira because she encouraged me.
Sometimes I will tell them that, okay, today we want to go out, we don't do any work, we don't have any customers place today. We are going and dress, wear your dress, do your nails, do everything. I will take him out to go and enjoy ourselves.
As a woman, there is nothing hard. If you have the determination, this thing, I want to lose it. It's almost the same thing, the way we handle our husband and children at home. Any children that's very difficult, you know how to handle those children. That's why the work is.
See people that start before us, that is doing this business, that there is no more again. But we just give the God the glory because we achieved so many things on this work. And we thank God the kind of wife that is given to me. So we achieved so many things.
A work that you are doing, you can be able to train your children's school, and you can be able to cater for your home. Yeah, you can even have a shelter on your head, having your own car. What else someone needs on this earth? Nothing more.
They have also faced challenges working together as a mechanic couple.
If you have a space outside there, people see couples working together, we have more customers. But immediately you go outside there to make your own workshop, government will come and demolish it. It's a big challenge on us, even all mechanics. They see the work as a dirty work and they are going out on their daily basis with their cars. And of which, if the car eventually stopped on the road, they're still going to call we mechanics.
Wale and Tayo believe mono-career couples can emerge strong and fulfilled as long as their values align.
I encourage the people that want to do the business, want to do the work. They should focus on the thing that they want to do. Don't look down on yourself. Maybe you are too big, you are too do this. Just focus on it. And the couples that want to do the business, they have to have trust. Trust your wife. Let wife trust your husband. If you make money today, it's not that the money that you make today, you make sure that you finish all the money. You have to put half for savings or anything. Because like this job that we're doing now, we use our money to run the business.
If you have passion, you have zeal for your husband's work, and you doesn't have anything doing, it's very advisable to join your husband once you don't have any skeleton in quotes in your cupboard. So you have every right to join your husband just to make the business grow.
Our findings point that some couple craft a way to thrive in love and work by understanding each transition and knowing what questions to ask and what traps to avoid.
Yes! Cheers to life!
Alopecia is a rare condition among women in Nigeria, and because of this, many people are not well informed of this condition. We spoke to Moshudat Badmos, who shared her journey with us.
I was preparing for service and I went to the salon to wash my hair. I was on dreads then. And when I got to the salon, the hairdresser, she hadn't even started washing my hair. She was just separating the dreads, and she saw the bald spot. So just small, like a coin shape around here. So when she said, she was like, Auntie Shefarin in Yoruba means, Auntie, did you scrape your hair? I was like, why would I scrape my hair? It's like, there's a spot here, like a bald shiny spot, and showed me. And I was like, no, what's this? So that day I was scared. I just quickly packed my hair. I told her not to even wash it again. I went home and I told my mom something happened at the salon, and my mom was like, this is spiritual. Talo wale, Nigerian mothers. So we started thinking, did anybody come? Because that was the first thing that came to my mind. Hair can't just disappear. It's something that is always a part of you. It can't just disappear. So what happened? Then I went to camp. The following week. And when I came back, the spot was still there. So that was when it started for me. And I started doing so many things. We took the spiritual route. Then it was a month or two after. I just went online. And just I searched in my symptoms and the signs I saw, the bald spots and all that, and I saw alopecia. So I told my mom I saw something like alopecia. I'm like, oh no, she doesn't feel that as it. So I told her I wanted a second opinion, because we've been doing the whole spiritual thing. So I wanted a medical opinion. So we went to see a doctor and he told me it was fungal infection. So I was placed on drugs and it didn't do anything. But my mind kept going back to the alopecia. Where I was 72, there was a health center in the compound. I went to see the director then too, and he told me the same thing, that it's a fungal infection. So I still wasn't convinced. I told my dad I want a third opinion. So he took me to his workplace and I saw the doctor they used there. And she was the first person that said, okay, this looks like alopecia. She doesn't even really know much about it, but she was like, she's going to refer me to Lutz Dermatology Clinic. It's at Yaba. So that was another thing. So when I got there, that was in, I think around probably September or so. And I saw the nurse in charge. They were like, there is no appointment, there's no space available to see the doctor. The next appointment is going to be in 2016 March. So I told him March, no, I have to see the doctor, because by then I already had a lot of bald spots. It wasn't just one again, I had about 5 then. So I showed her my hair. She should just see it. She wasn't even so, I felt it was something she probably has seen. She wasn't even so concerned. She's sis, there are people with worse conditions than you have that are on the list. I can't do anything. So I begged her, I was in tears, and she was like, okay, she's going to give me December, a space in December. She'll come back in December. Told me to come very early, that the clinic time starts by 8. So I got there 7. I was early. When I got there 7, I met a lot of people already. And when they started giving out numbers, I think the number ended at 25 or so. I think I was number 29. So they told me I won't be to the doctor, I should come back the next day. So I started crying. Nobody understood why I was crying, and the woman was like, what happened? What? So I told her ma, no, I can't come back in January. I can't come back next year. I have to see the doctor today. So I just opened my scalp, and I had my hair was when they say rats chopped then someone's hair. So I had a lot of patches and it was really ugly, and everybody was like, oh. So the nurse looked at me and said, so look at people here, people with terrible conditions. There's nothing wrong with you. Just go back and you see the doctor when you see the doctor. She wasn't even so concerned, and I just kept on crying. So people begged her and she gave me a number. So when I saw the dermatologist, she was like, you have alopecia, you're not special, you're just one of the few unfortunate ones. So there is no known cause, there is no cure for it. But since you have alopecia areata right now, we're going to place you on a treatment. You're going to take steroid shots for 6 months. So the steroid shots they give you on the bald spot. So I was happy, like, okay, finally, this is something I can do. So I went to my mom's sister's place then. So when I got to her place, she was like, oh, like we should go see all these herbalists, people that are into herbal treatments and all. So we went there. The lady said, okay, she's going to prepare a bowl for me and all that. But first, I have to scrape my hair. So that day, I'd already taken the first steroid shots on my scalp. So I told the woman then that no, I don't want to do the treatment. I would like to complete the steroid shots first. Then I'll come back after 6 months if it doesn't work. So my mom sister told my mom. The mom started shouting, like, no, why can't I do both together? It's just we're both looking for solution and all that. So she convinced me to like scrape off my hair. So I scraped it off and I started the herbal treatment too. But after scraping off my hair, and I went for the next shot, it got worse. My hair started growing back, but the spot things, it didn't come back. So after the second shot, by the time I would go back for the third shot, my hair was completely gone. I had no hair. So when the guy wanted to give me the shot, the dermatologist that saw me that day, you know, it's like a public health center, so you won't see the same doctor every time. So he didn't understand because normally you're supposed to give shots on the spot. So he called the head dermatologist and she was like, what happened? So I explained to her that I scraped it. Like, you shouldn't have scraped it out. The treatment is for partial hair loss. There is no treatment for total hair loss, so there's nothing you can do. So I was like, what? They were just saying a whole lot of things and I had to leave. And they didn't give me another appointment date. They just told me to leave that they were going to call me. And until today, they never did. So that was it for me. And here we are.
Moshudat Badmus and Jasmine Oguns shared the most awkward experiences they've had living with alopecia.
For me, one of the ridiculous things I've heard about alopecia is when people ask that, do you have cancer? Because I feel it should be known that chemotherapy actually causes hair loss.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, I did a surgery in 2017 and I was in the hospital and people came, nurses, and assumed that I was a cancer patient just because to me it's very ridiculous because you guys are in the line.
They should know better, exactly, because actually cancer does not lead to hair loss. What leads to hair loss is the chemo treatment. And for survivors, they grow their hair back. Because what chemo does is it kills the cells. And you know, in the process of killing the cells, it kills the hair follicle as well. So at that point, the victim loses his or her hair. But after the chemo phase, once they survive that cancer phase, their hair grow back. So it's a different thing entirely. Alopecia and cancer are not the same. They are two different. That's why sometimes when we do our campaign, we emphasize on the fact that it is not cancer, it is alopecia, no alopecia. So they are two different things. Yeah, one ridiculous thing I've heard was when one spiritualist said, someone took my hair to the ocean. Now my hair is under the water, you know, and I tried to sound sarcastic too because it didn't make any sense to me. I was like, okay, please tell me the person that took my hair to the ocean so that I can beg the person to give me my hair back. Because as it is, it's not useful for the person. And the person is not letting me use my hair. So let's beg the person to let me have my hair back. It's actually funny.
Another ridiculous thing is when you tell people, like, you explain to the person, I have alopecia.
God.
Alopecia is this, alopecia is that. God, they're like, oh, that's sad.
So why did you cut your hair?
And I'll be like,
we hear that a lot.
Like, it is constant. Like, you do awareness this year now. We do, September is Alopecia Awareness Month.
Yeah.
We do awareness. You guys, we tell you so much about it. And next year, be like, you started this sneak. Why did you cut your hair this year? God.
Another ridiculous thing is, in fact, this one has been coming non-stop. During the interview I had with BBC Pidgin last year, I mentioned how my relationship failed, how the wedding introduction got called off 3 days to the wedding introduction by my supposed mother-in-law. And you won't believe the kind of messages that I've been receiving. Random men coming around, asking for my hand in marriage, out just like that, from nowhere. You don't know me, you don't know anything about me. And I'll be like, where is this coming from? I said, I saw your interview about your mother-in-law that called off your wedding. I'm like, for crying out loud. The interview was not even about marriage, it was about alopecia. So you're not bothered about the awareness I'm creating, you're bothered about marriage. But I didn't come on air to say I'm looking for a husband. I didn't say I am not dating or I'm not in a relationship. So it sounds ridiculous. Like, it keeps coming, and every time I hear that, I just shake my head like, oh my God, not again.
Long or short hair, all women are beautiful. We need to create more awareness surrounding alopecia and eliminate every form of stigmatization towards those living with alopecia.
Now, recent research indicates that 60% of Africa's population is under the age of 25 and 67% is under the age of 30. Sadly, in 2019, about half of Africa's working age youths are either jobless or underemployed, a situation that has exacerbated by the pandemic, which has caused more people to be unemployed than ever before, with women and young people suffering the most. Now, this is a threat to the African continent, considering the population of this particular demography. Interestingly, experts across the continent agree that creating high-quality jobs with respectable salaries and working conditions is critical to Africa's future and stability. Welcome to Business Insights on PlusTvAfrica. I am Justin Akadonye. Now, Africa needs 15 million new good jobs annually to accommodate its increasing youth population. The startling statistics compel every concerned African to call on government and key stakeholders to make policy changes and commitments that enable African businesses to flourish and domestic foreign investment to grow. Now, organizations like One Campaign also launched the Jobs Now Africa to encourage government across Africa to make job creation a top issue and look into addressing the barriers that prevent job creation. Now, Stanley Achono is once Nigeria director. He has 10 years experience in the management of development programs and policy reform in the civil society and government. Stanley served as the Civil Society Advisor at the Nigeria Open Government Partnership OGP Secretariat, where he coordinated the nation's membership of the OGP and the implementation of the country's reform commitments. Thank you, Stanley, for joining us on Business Insight and PlusTvAfrica.
Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
All right, let's start by setting the context. How bad is unemployment in Africa and specifically Nigeria?
So, as you mentioned, we have a very useful demographic on here on the continent, very useful population, one of the youngest population in the world. But the challenge also is that opportunities do not exist for these brimming young people on the continent. And, drilling home here in Nigeria, the Nigeria National Bureau of Statistics data shows that almost 22 million Nigerians are out of job, and some people question that statistics to say it is worse than it's clear. The numbers are showing, even as terrible as the Bureau of Statistics data shows that the situation is very bad. The chances are that you know someone of job seeking age who is currently out of job. This is a reality that we live with in Nigeria. Others have argued that because of the unemployment challenge is also fueling the insecurity challenge. So if researchers are now looking at the linkage between unemployment and insecurity, and if that linkage is true, then you can see how dire the situation is by looking at the security challenges across the continent. When you go through the Sahara area where the terrorists are overrunning countries, all the way down to the northern Nigeria. Then when you go to the southeast and all of the kidnapping in the Middle Belt regions extending all the way to southwest. So it tells you that there is a youthful population that is out of job without stake in the economy across the continent, who now feel that violence is the only way to make their voices heard. And this is only one aspect of the challenge. Then when pandemic broke, it also made the situation worse, where people were out of job, and the lockdown meant that companies shut the extent of their services. And then the lockdown and the restriction of the travel restrictions also made the situation worse, compounding with the reopening of the economy to the challenges that now followed in terms of economic recovery and then the war in Ukraine. So Africa has consistently, over the last 10 years, just been on the downward trend. And even where, in quotes, there's reported growth, the growth always is on paper. It doesn't exactly translate into reality for young people. So opportunities are limited. The numbers are dire. We've seen protests in South Africa earlier in the year, where it started as a protest around the issue of Jacob Zuma, but it took a life of its own. It led to the burning of properties. We also saw the protest against police brutality here in Nigeria, and how that also escalated very quickly is because there's pent-up anger due to lack of opportunities for young people on the continent that is fueling all of the distrust in government, all of the anger, and all of the security challenges we face. So the situation we find ourselves on the continent is such that if we do not do specific things very quickly, and when I say specific things, we need to be looking at creating 15 million jobs, new jobs every year for young people on the continent for the next 5 years before we can see a downward trend in this challenge that we face with unemployment. And working as a group, convening almost 40 partners across Africa and speaking to experts, it's obvious that Africa is at a position where we can no longer wait, and we can no longer say there is more time for us to do this. The time to do something about unemployment in Africa was yesterday.
Stanley, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, let me just butt in at this point before we now get into all of the merits and what we need to do to create those 15 million jobs that you have said in the next 5 years. I really want to get a real good perspective to all of these issues, the barriers to job creation, as it were. Mm-hmm. Over time, the government has come up with several policies. We've had the You Win. We've had several policies. In order for Nigerians to be actively involved, positively and economically, but over time, we seem not to be seeing the changes that we are expecting.
So one challenge is policy inconsistency. Everyone wants to introduce a fresh idea. Nobody thinks that the previous idea is worth it. So that has also left a lot of people hanging. And depending on who you speak to, they will say, oh, this program is the best, that program is the best. But one challenge you see consistent in all of them is that nobody wants to follow through, to see through the end. So sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, the challenge with the policies is not in the design, it's actually in the implementation and in the follow through. So there is no shortcut and there is no quick win around it. There are things around enabling business environment that we need to tackle. This is not, when I say enabling business environment, this is not about World Bank Index or any of those things. There are real challenges that businesses face on the continent or in Nigeria that we need to tackle head on, right? And, to understand this challenge, try and open a shop somewhere and see the amount of demands you receive from government the first day you open your shop. Nobody cares about, you're creating employment. Nobody's thinking about tax incentive. Nobody cares about your growth. All they want to extract from you, right? So the environment for doing business in Nigeria is extremely difficult, right? So one is the problem of inconsistency in the policy. So the challenge is not with the policy. The challenge is with the implementation of the policy and remaining consistent with the policy. I sometimes I sit back and wonder, you mentioned you win, right? I wonder if we have consistently implemented you win for 10 years, what difference would that have made, right? And that's on one side. The other one is the question around ease of doing business and business environment and business climate, right? This government came on board and the Office of the Vice President led the charge on improving business environment. And there was a council set up with advisory from experts from around the world. Where are we on easing this business? I just fear that sometimes some of these attempts are cosmetic. They are not followed through. The difficult work of getting them off the ground and remaining consistent is not done. One other challenge is financing. When young people start businesses, it's near impossible for them to get access to credit. It is even more challenging for women. Women businesses, no matter how successful they are, they face more hurdle when it comes to accessing financing and capital for their businesses than their male counterparts. It's almost similar challenge when you are a young person. There's a complete distrust for new entrants into the business the business environment, that the financial support they need is never provided. So it feels like everybody's avoiding any effort to take risk and grow with these small businesses. So young people face that challenge of capital. And then there's also on the flip side, there's the question about where do you even find the skills that you need to grow your business. The skills are constantly on their way out. They are constantly at the airport trying to get out of this place. So why is it that we cannot retain talent? Why is it that we cannot grow talent? Why is it that we cannot keep the talents that we grow here? While we designed our Jobs Now Africa campaign, I was speaking to a lot of people in multiple sectors, and I had an interesting conversation with someone who works in tech, and he said, before now, Nigeria used to be that, do not do remote work with anybody who lives in Nigeria, because there was that fear of fraud and all of those things, that bad reputation. But with pandemic, the reverse was the case, where people were specifically demanding for talent from Nigeria. How are we harnessing that, right? So, and a few days ago, I was speaking to somebody who works in tech, and the guy said his entire tech team are all living for Canada, UK, and Europe, right? He's struggling to find talent. So we are not training enough. We are not retaining the talent we grow. We are losing the little that we train to more developed economies. So there is just a myriad of challenge. Even
a lot of challenges, yes, I agree with you,
yeah.
Stanley. But then again, let us move forward because of time, because you have identified the bulk of the challenges. But let's look at proffering maybe some sort of solution. I know your organization is involved in things like this. You talked about a project that you have launched, the Jobs Now Africa. But then again, development organizations such as yours, that's one campaign. What have you done, maybe vis-a-vis with working with government, to ensure that they make this issue of unemployment and job creation top priority?
So at the moment, we're engaging African leaders on specific things. One is that we need to open up the continent to trade with ourselves. So the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement that came into effect recently, we are asking them to do whatever it takes to open up our borders so that businesses can cross-trade. One big challenge that businesses face is just moving their goods from here to neighboring countries. Nigeria went through several months of border closure without consideration for the suffering that businesses that trade across the border face. And this is a common trend where there is that level of arbitrariness in terms of waking up one morning because of one challenge, you then decide that every other person must suffer alongside, right? So we're asking African leaders to do more to implement the free trade agreement that Africa entered into. It holds an enormous opportunity for us to grow. Europe is where it is today because you can easily trade between European countries in the EU freely, without hindrance, and it has not taken away from one country's economy or the other. There is a lot of protectionism on the continent where every country wants to man their border, want to protect what crosses their border. What we need to do is encourage African leaders to find comparative advantage where they have it and become the leader in that sector. We can't all produce everything. It's erroneous to assume that every country must be self-sufficient. It's a good thing to hope for, but where you are lacking, you can trade and then complement each other, right? So Africa needs to open up our border, trade with each other is extremely important. And we're engaging the African Union and African leaders on full implementation of the trade agreement. Here in Nigeria, there are just some few things we're asking the Nigerian government to do. Things like
all right, Stanley,
yes.
It would get into what the government needs to do and, of course, what sector they should consider as focal point. But we need to take a quick break. It is still Business Insights on Plus TV Africa. We still have Stanley Achono, who is with One Campaign. He's the country director here in Nigeria. In a moment, we'll come back. We identify the factors that, that we need to be putting in place to ensure that entrepreneurship development is a priority, and of course, how government and the private sector can partner to achieve this. In a moment, we'll be right back. Don't go away. How to address the issue of unemployment is our focus on the show for today, and Stanley Achono is our guest. Now, moving on, beyond the government, Stanley, how do we involve the youths themselves and even the private sector in this issue of job creation?
So private sector leaders are already sort of eager to do more.
How to address the issue of unemployment is our focus on the show for today, and Stanley Achono is our guest. Now, moving on, beyond the government, Stanley, how do we involve the youths themselves and even the private sector in this issue of job creation?
So private sector leaders are already sort of eager to do more. The regular complaint that we have heard from private sector is restrictive government regulatory frameworks for operation that continue to hamper their ability to expand their businesses, right? So this is one challenge that private sector leaders continue to complain about. One other challenge that we've heard loud from private sector leaders is